Chinese kin bandits who died in the raid celebrated in the desert. A beautiful woman was kidnapped for fun as their party star. Top officials keep her. He swears to her privately. The allure of her chest touch breaks him. Wicked fox Peter stays young by eating hearts. Draws Evilders. She makes an orb as their hearts are full of chakra. Its special weapon kills and revives. Great General Wang's armies fight crooks. Bandits lose a long fight. Seeing Mina naked in a room makes Wang sad. You should ride a covered horse with her. As Mina returns to town, the soldiers greet her without knowing her. To Mina, Wang is the only kind person, so she loves him. Pei Rong falls for him when she arrives. Her life changes when she joins the general. Wang enjoys earning Rong but worries about his friends. Wang sees the intruder unconscious outside. The locals trust him to stay out of trouble. When he returns home, the general is kind. Yang's sudden development worries payment. Their marriage followed a long courtship. Yang arriving at night annoys Pei Rong's husband. Loves Wang completely. Wang surprises Mina with his gaze. Not a dream. He doesn't realize Mina is slowly making him love her. In her room alone. The male spirit Shalwa nourishes her vulnerable souls. Everyone in town knows about serial murders and missing hearts. Wang increased security to find the criminal. Pei pampers Yang in the morning. His nighttime intoxication caused his late arrival. Stay in town to find the killer, Wang advises. However, he declines. Yang befriends a strange woman at the town's late-night restaurant. Satan is Chaya's idol. Work is awful for Yang. Mina silenced the cosmetic store jerk. She may hypnotize pairs. She took Mina to a temple for a spiritual exam. Her salary was unaffected by the sacred location. The intriguing case and rumored demon are her favorites. Yang honors the recent murder victims at their graves. The murderer was skilled with knives. Takes Chaya from the casket. She shows them how a magical stone lights up within 10 miles of a demon. She found the stone in town, but no spirit. Their investigation found only killings in the general's neighborhood. The Mina distrusts them more. Overnight, Yang meets Xiaowei while Chaya attacks. Running, Xiao flew. Fix her leg, Yong. They suspect theft, but they don't know why. Grandpa gave her a demon stick. Nobody beheaded the stick. Legend has it that only true demon hunters can do this. Yang tries but fails. Tomorrow's assisting commander, Yang Sha. Keep Wang informed about Mina. Wang appears upset that his wife spread the rumor. Some believe he can solve the murder of an innocent girl. Mina charmed and attracted the troops. His wife believes the girl is innocent despite his assurances. She craves a demon birthmark test. Women undressing in a room makes finding the mark difficult. Wang advises everyone to go. Strong demand surprises Pei Rong and Wang. A Yang is first lady. Someone else has. Likes Mina, but won't defy her wife. Wang imagines approaching Mina while she swims in a cave that night. Love for her in dreams makes him sweat. He chats with her in her room. Stops gown removal. He thinks she deserves a loving husband, not a mistress. She proposes, and he says he loves her wrong. Suddenly, Xiaowei is at war. Loving Wang, Mina yelled. He escapes after the soldiers identify him. Perron sees her husband in Mina's bedroom during the chaos. Will surrender to love. Despite Wang's denials, she sees his fraud. Shalwa tells Mina he loves her after reconnecting. This enrages her more, especially since he tried to kill her lover. Love is non-existent between demons and humans, he says. While asking Mina's opinion, she tells him to leave. Mina becomes Wang's mistress after Perron visits her room. Mina is surprised when her skin peels. 20 years later, she proudly reveals herself. Outraged audiences. Mina kills a soldier through disruption. She offers to stop when Pei Rong asks. Never again will she murder. Military personnel misidentify her as a serial killer. She gets teased in town for her new style. Listen, Perron. Yang rescues her in a cave. He denies her demon poisoning claim. The next steps are discussed. Wang is appalled by his wife's situation when the soldiers arrive. She committed crimes, so the general ordered her execution. He cannot because he is her husband. Despite her murderous past, he loves her. She dies balancing on his sword. Soulless Wang. Her company brings him to tears. Mina sympathizes with his mistakes. She knows Wang won't love her. Certainly now. Yang swords Mina, proving demonhood. Unless the weapon hurts her. The sun doesn't bother Mina. Her demands outweigh Wang's pleas for his wife's return. In fear of losing his job, Wang does the unthinkable. Mina activates her power orb sobbing. Permanent chakras can revive death. Stop Wei from using it on Wang. To revive Mina, he takes the orb. Keep centuries for other things. Yang attacks Xiao, causing conflict. Huang is with Xia. Should I kill demons? No idea. Third strike, grandfather's gun won't open. She abruptly removes the cap. After her attack, she kills Xiao. After Yang's injury-related death. She cries as she asks him to return, feeling their love. At last. Die forever, she tells Mina. Her path includes Xiao Wei and Orb. Mina can resurrect all cave deaths. Mina is gone when Wang wakes up. In pure joy, he rushes to their marriage. Normalcy returns a few days later. Yang joined Chia in hunting demons in the south despite Wang's pleas to stay in town and help the troops. Mina dresses as a white fox at the film's end. Flashbacks don't change her. If you want more videos like this, subscribe. Leave a like and enable notifications for the channel. Thanks for listening. Here we are again covering recent films. New science fiction romance Passengers was released in 2016. Spoilers ahead. Take care. The spaceship Avalon visits Homestead 2. You can see every room is empty. Autopilot ship. 258 crew and 5,000 passengers hibernate. Ship enters asteroid belt that could weaken shields. The primary shield protects the spacecraft from a large asteroid. Asteroid hits, ship breaks down. Ships activate hibernation pods for preparation. Mechanical engineer Jim Preston, stand up. A 120-year sleep is interrupted by an automated system telling him Homestead 2 is 4 months away. Jim seems nervous because the hologram says Earth is overpriced, overpopulated, and overrated. Notifies him. Repeat asking Jim why he's alone until the lesson is over. Looking elsewhere, he notices the hologram isn't responding. Rise to the ship's main concourse. An automated information desk can take over without a human. Someone responds to Jim's appeal for human attention. After failing to find anyone, he called the captain. Jim discovers at the observatory that Homestead is 90 years from the ship. Despite its high cost, his communication system predicts his Earth call will be answered in 55 years. Jim is devastated. Another passenger and the ship's barman talk. He gives off strangeness. It hits him hard after Jim gives him a drink. Jim arrived early and cannot tell the android he wants to know more. Jim leaves his cabin the next morning for gourmet cantina food. Nothing happens when you pod lie. Devices enter crew hibernation chambers. Equally ineffective. Ship problems increase. Jim drinks and hangs out with friends at the pub. Android suggests breaking into a gold-class room to have fun on the ship. Jim visits every restaurant and game. devices, but his worse alone. After drinking, he explores sleep pods. Jim awkwardly enters the airlock using a spacewalk suit lever and door button. His favorite ship views are the exterior. Being aware. Unfortunately, Jim is now floating in space after releasing his boot's magnets. He disguises himself in the suit at the airlock. He pulls the lever to end, reconsidering. Places bottle in container. Jim, drawn in pods, faces Aurora. After finding her directory files and listening to her passenger interview, he falls for her. He overhears her pod interviews while drinking. Arthur discussed her work afterward. He becomes obsessed with the paradox of seeking a better life on another planet. Getting up early and wanting his ideal woman. Thinking about her, Jim wakes her. Not even Android can decipher him. He kept her awake, destroying her ship. Jim holds onto it until he reconsiders after initially rejecting it. He charges her pod in the morning. Returns to the room quietly. He later finds her in the main concourse. Both he and she were confused last year. Jim claims solitude while taking her to the observatory. His next statement is that he cannot reach the ship's crew or primary commanders. As Aurora worries and wants rejoin her pod. Jim says the ship arrives unprepared for hibernation. They told her they were stuck. He tells her to rest after her concourse hibernation. Her heart broke when he was alone on the ship for almost a year. James regrets his bar behavior. He asks Arthur not to tell Aurora he woke her the next day. All eyes open with a snap. She asks the concourse automated information desk about hibernation pods. Due to a malfunction, she and Jim eat breakfast in the cantina after leaving the information desk. After seeing that Jim has eaten the same breakfast for a year, Aurora treats him to a fancy meal. Aurora will continue pod repair like Jim. Medical supplies and research papers are stolen while the crew sleeps. Jim found more ship issues. After Avalon, Aurora regrets. She accepts her situation while swimming and writing Johns around the ship. She interviews Jim at the cantina because his story fascinates her. Why did he move to the colony? Jim answered the same as his employer when asked why he wants to succeed in the new world. Reconstructing life was possible. Aurora describes her observatory's duties. Not all ship passengers have round-trip tickets like her. She could practice journalism in Homestead for a year before returning to Earth. Jim encourages Aurora to ignore their issue. Tap her to basketball and movie beats. He takes her to the bar to meet Arthur after much waiting. Remembering what happened when she relaxed. Jim contemplates his actions with the android. Alter another. He designed a tiny Chrysler building observatory for Aurora. The bar hosts dates. Talking privately at dinner. She mentions her teen father's death. After dinner, Jim puts on his spacesuit in the airlock. Moving through space. Jim is relieved to have someone to share this amazing experience with. Jim turns off their magnetic devices, sending their boots into space. Returning guests rest in his cabin. Their move-in is imminent. Aurora records ship activities from his cabin. They eat, sleep, and run. Jim says a bag of hydroponic plants is on the ship. Brings Aurora flowers. After passing a red giant, they stop at the observatory. Celebration of Aurora. They celebrated by eating at one of the ship's many restaurants that evening. Finally, the bar. Jim prepares her ring in the bathroom while Aurora talks to Arthur at the bar. The android claims Jim intentionally woke Aurora without realizing he had to keep it a secret. Jim's return surprises her. Anger and fear drive her to flee. Jim returns to his cabin to find her gone. After hearing his cantina speech the next day, she flees. Distressed Aurora. Her fists and kicks kill Jim at his cabin one night. Speaking to her since she avoids him. Jim apologizes for his mistakes. He said he loved her. Aurora says no problem. He killed her, making her incorruptible. Jim's cabin ruptures again at night. A catastrophic error disables the ship's primary control system. Entering, he smashes a lift. James and Aurora meet on the main concourse. Establish tree planting habits. After that, she examines the cantina dispenser that broke. Over communications, the deck chief unexpectedly asks who planted the tree. Gus Mancuso is by Jim's tree when they run into the concourse. Tell the chief to greet you. He is confused by 3-pod failures. Up on deck, Mancuso finds a ship problem. System data must be manually verified. They report rising ship malfunctions to Mancuso after leaving the bridge, and one robot nearly hits them. Displays data collection warnings. Manny examines his pod. Jim arrives before Aurora's pod's doom. A disappointing report for the deck chief. Future bridges will verify data. Aurora cannot discuss her pod experience. Jim brings 16 broken bots. Feverish Mancuso lies down. Blood drips from his cough. The restless Aurora swims. She drowns in the pool as the ship loses gravity. She nearly dies when gravity returns. Collect while searching for Mancuso star. The captain is gradually informing the 3 of the ship's status. The destruction of a major system 2 years ago is revealed to Mancuso. Help the ship catch up, fix it. It must be fixed or the ship will crash. Find the issue. Contrarily, Mancuso faints. Jim and Aurora take him to the hospital. His death will not be prevented by medicine. 3 people in the observatory hear Mancuso speak. Jim dies ordering ship repairs with his ID bracelet. Ship shakes with violent flashes. Aurora quickly seeks engineering help at Jim's request. Another gravity drive failure. The second blow hits Arthur squarely. Jim cripples him. Engineers find problems in power plans. Ascend the hatch. Aurora was bad. Asteroid slipped by. Jim clutches the hatch while being sucked in. It attracts him, but they approach quickly. After fixing the issue, Jim finds many broken hall entries. A meteor hits the reactor control computer, they learn. Jim says parts should be available. Venting the reactor after repairs fails. Once again, manual efforts fail. Jim opens the ship's vent door after realizing they can't turn off the reactor internally. Before leaving the airlock, he gives Aurora Mancuso his bracelet, knowing he may never return. Helps form. She begs him to return from the airlock immediately, saying the ship depends on him. Aurora reactor critical temperature. A reactor bolt hits her arm as Jim, outside the vent, approaches it and sees the door. Without the vent door, the reactor room gets hot. The reactor door must be opened manually to vent. He wants Aurora to vent the reactor, even though she hates it. After arguing about his kill, he tells her to release reactor pressure to save others. It works, but Jim can't stand the reactor fumes. Reduce suit pressure. Aurora quickly calls him from another suit after he finishes explaining. He was. Apologies again. Unfortunately, her tether is too short to dress up and fly to retrieve him. She holds him while retreating. Aurora brings German corpse home from hospital. She revives man Hugo with his bracelet without surgery. Medical pods revive Jim. Aurora pardons him. Aurora buries Mancuso in space after curing Arthur. Jim suggests hibernating in the infirmary medical pod. He places her on the travel pod. She refuses and stays awake on the ship with him. After she proposed, Jim invited her to live on the ship. Thanks for listening.